Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. How you doing? This is Preach Moss, host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show. Hope that you're having a wonderful Friday. I mean, not wonderful Friday, but actually a wonderful Monday. I want to give a shout out to everybody that was involved with the Muslim Kings of Comedy. That would be Musa Suleiman, Azim Muhammad, Omar Regan, myself, Harvard for College, and Professor, I forget the brother's name, but really beautiful guy, and the students of Brother Suleiman's class, as well as the community of Philadelphia that came out to support a great show, a sold out show. Shout out to Brother Matt Black. There's another sister, I forgot her name on the show. I'll come up with it later. Sister Nadir Pierre. We had a really good, nice, wonderful show. I want to give a shout out to Kindred the Family Soul. They came out and represented. So, I mean, this was really an excellent show. And, we hope to be able to take it around, if that's the right way to say it. We want to take it around. We don't want to necessarily say tour because that involves some different type of logistics and rhetoric. But overall, you had myself, Musa the Comic, Azim Muhammad, and Omar Regan on the same stage at the same time. That's never happened. That's never happened to us as a group of young African American Muslim males. We have not done that. So it was historic in that way. So I want to make sure that I lay the premise for that because it was a cause for celebration. So let's get to our topic today before we bring everybody in. I want to frame this. I want to frame it this way. At 55 years old, that's how old I am. At 55 years old, I have been fortunate to see things happen. Like I didn't see Sidney Poitier when he won his Oscar, the first African American to win his Oscar. But I did see Denzel Washington win an Oscar. I did see, of course, Jamie Foxx win an Oscar. I saw Halle Berry win an Oscar. And what that says to me is there's a tradition of acting and also a tradition of theatrical esprit de corps, which is the aspect that means that act like you've been there before. Don't act like your excellence is some kind of a surprise to you. And I'm putting this out there because I'm getting to the topic. This Oscar goes to the slap. I'm going to try to nuance this a little bit. But let me start out by saying and expressing that I was extremely disappointed by the actions of Will Smith. You can say what you want about Chris Rock, but I was extremely disappointed by the actions of Will Smith. Let me go on record by saying I am not supporting what he did. Let me go even further by saying he was wrong. He was wrong, one, by doing it, and number two, he was wrong by not apologizing to the man he assaulted. Also, let me take to task the Academy of the Academy of the award, if you will, the people who run this Academy Award situation scenario. You dropped the ball. You dropped the ball, and now even more so, we have a spectacle because it's different levels to what I saw last night. I saw a man who was a comedian, who he was a well-established comedian, and he makes jokes. And I'm going to tell you, if you sit in the audience, front and center, you may be one of the target of one of those jokes. You know, the issue of Will Smith's wife's hair and things like that. Okay, you can go, but the way it was handled poorly. And this, brothers and sisters, is indicative. I want to shout out my man Mark Canada. He and I started talking about it. I said, but this is a part of the toxicity that's rampant in what we call Black Hollywood, and there really isn't even a Black Hollywood to speak about. This is a bunch of well-paid people in many regards who don't know how to get off the plantation. Meaning, if you unplug them from the system, they don't know how to act. You have distinguished gentlemen like Denzel Washington. You have distinguished gentlemen like Morgan Freeman and Samuel L. Jackson. You have distinguished gentlemen like Sidney Poitier and Harry Belafonte. You have all of these people who represent something that you can't overlook. That there's a tradition of how you get to that space. And I personally feel like that tradition was spoiled last night. This is the Shout Out Show. Let's get it up and going. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Preacher Moss.
We just need help.
Imagine if there wasn't an olive branch. Muslim Family Services at your command. The people who help people have to say, we need your donations, don't delay. We all have struggles from time to time, but leaders dedicated is what you find. Before another person sheds a tear, support Olive Branch, you don't have to fear. Olive Branch Muslim Family Services. Action you can see, compassion you can feel. Sing it with me. Ooh. Ooh.
Okay, so let's frame this out a little bit. They are now beginning to say that Will Smith slapping Chris Rock Sunday night is now referred to as the slap heard around the world. I was extremely disheartened to hear that, because the slap that was heard around the world was a monumental lifting of oppression of Southern white supremacy, the scope of Black people trying to develop their own agency, their own identity, of trying to evolve into, I want to say, positive self-fulfilling prophecy, being able to lay breadcrumbs, veritable breadcrumbs for all of us who came up behind them, who would have the ability to take those breadcrumbs and make better creations of things and make better representations of ourselves. You know, I don't have a thing about Will Smith. I mean, he did Fresh Prince, he did that. You know, he's a comic actor in and of himself. Okay? You know, if you watch the Fresh Prince, I don't know how many fat jokes he does on Uncle Phil, or I don't know how many nerd jokes he does on Carlton. And I know that's all scripted. But each one of those actors will tell you to a man, you know, while they know that it's in the script, it does hurt a little bit. It does hurt a little bit. And so I'm a little concerned with what I saw on Sunday night, because two things, and I'm going to research these a little bit more, but two things about Sunday night, brothers and sisters. Number one is they have something at the Oscars called auditions. And everything that Chris Rock puts through the screen and the teleprompter, it has to pass censors, okay? As well, if there's something that's something debatable, they take it to someone who's going to be, and they say, is this okay? So my heart and my feeling says that Will Smith actually knew that this joke was coming. I can't say that he was aware of his emotional state at that time, but he knew the joke was coming. Even Chris Rock was like, come on, that was a light one, da 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 da. Because it's a banter that goes back and forth when you're the host. Number two, brothers and sisters, and this is a big one, is that Will Smith was allowed to go back to his chair after he smacked Chris Rock. He was allowed to go back to his chair and sit there and openly bark at Chris Rock from that chair. I mean, openly bark, keep my wife's name out of your bleepity bleep mouth, and all this type of stuff, which is a kind of bogarting after you just slapped the man. And I've looked at pictures that when they went to the break, brothers and sisters, Chris Rock was the guy who was conciliatory, coming over to find out what was up with him and Jada Pinkett. The person in between them is no other than Denzel Washington. So there is no remorse with this thing. And I think the thing that's also important is that the Academy Award folks allowed him to stay there sit, watch the awards, come up and get his award. So the idea of them saying that we don't condone violence, yes, you do. You let the man sit there for the entire thing, get his award. Come on, brothers and sisters. This is 2022. Their brothers doing 3 to 6 years because they made quote unquote terroristic threats and no one heard it other than the person who said it. And here's a guy going openly threatening Chris Rock. So let's get to this. Here's my thing with Chris Rock. Yo, bro, as long as you black and you a comedian, anytime somebody walks up on that stage and you haven't invited them, you better keep your guard up. That's number one. Number two, to a man, to another man, and nobody's slapping me. You understand? See, this is the thing I have to say about this whole masculine softness that's going around. That first of all, grown men don't go around slapping grown men. You don't do that. Number two is, if this thing is real, and I'm just saying this, Satana, you can back me. I've seen a lot of fights. If this thing is real, you walk up to a man and say, "Hey, man, if you say something else about my wife, we gonna have at it." Say it one more time. Think I'm playing. See, this is the vernacular, not of the street. This is the vernacular of fight etiquette. This is the vernacular of letting someone know, hey, man, you crossed the line. Not just walking towards him. Chris Rock was totally unarmed looking at this guy, thinking, hey, here comes Will. And he goes, oh, he had no idea the man was going to slap him in the face. It's not even he tried to muscle Chris Rock, like grabbing him in his collar, like, hey, dude, this better not happen again. He walked right up and slapped him. I have a couple thoughts because now it's a little tilted. I'm going to show you guys the slap that was heard around the world. And this, brothers and sisters, is way different than the clown show that went on last night. Satana, let's roll it.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Richard. Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith.
I don't know what lost the sound, but it is what it is. My point is a lot of profanity at the end. Chris Rock was really from the stage trying to be a professional and move this thing forward. This happens, okay? This happens. I've been in situations where fights break out in the crowd and you got to be professional and all that type of stuff. He tried to manage it from the stage. So A+ for Chris Rock for trying to manage. But B, it's Chris Rock and I love you. You don't let people lay hands on you. I don't care who you are, Will Smith, or I don't care who it is. I don't let the police lay hands on it unless they got a warrant. You hear what I'm saying, brothers and sisters? This becomes problematic. Because you know what I saw? I saw a man that felt he had privilege can walk up and smack another black man. And if we're going to put it in the color box, I saw a light-skinned black man walk up and slap a dark-skinned black man. And the way he slapped him is almost like, you're not intelligent. You don't have worth. You don't have equality to me. I am superior to you. And this is what played out, brothers and sisters. These are the things that you say, hey, man, maybe preacher reading into it. And I thought I was reading into it a little bit when I talked to my buddy Mark. I'm like, no. Do you understand the essence of the color divide in our community? We're not even talking about that. We're talking about a slap. I'm talking about a man who felt empowered to go up to another black man and disrespect him like that. Even Birdman, Even Birdman with Charlemagne the God, he didn't put his hands on anybody. He said, put some respect on my name. Put some respect on my name. And that is the quotient, brothers and sisters, letting people know I'm not having it. But there's no I'm not having it situation with Will Smith. How do you get to jump the gun? You're from West Philadelphia. I know folks in West Philadelphia. I was just there. And even people in West Philadelphia scratching their head like, wait a minute, you from West Philly slapping people? That's number one. But number two is you're doing it in a worldwide audience. And the people in the space where you are, they've invited you. And the only reason you're on that stage is for what? Because you won an award. You were in the running. All right, so let's get some people up here, Satana. Let's get some people up for our shout out show family. What's going on, Sister Reed? God bless you. Hope that you're doing well. Hope you had a great weekend. Thank you for coming on the show. Peace and blessings to you, Derek and Juwan. Next up, my main man, Eric Carter. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Big E. Thank you for coming on the show, beloved. Appreciate you. Hope you had a great weekend. Next up, Bilal Salahuddin, my main man. Bilal and sisters Sonia. I hope that you guys are doing well. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to the Salahuddin family. Representing strong. Next up, I'll talk for sheep. I'm my main man. We call him Mr. 6 o'clock, straight up, straight down. Coming all the way in from Toronto, Ontario. Our Canadian ambassador to the show. He's in charge of quality control on this side of the border and that side of the border. All right. Good to see y'all, Talk. Next up, we got my brother, Johnny L. Thomas, better known as JT, checking in. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good to see you out. I know we're going to probably have to talk about this slap thing later on, but I'm just throwing some ideas out there, what I was seeing. Okay? Next up, my mother said the slap, both men were wrong. A woman's self-confidence is shattered enough when she loses her hair, but to make a joke, when she dares to go out in public, no jokes. Okay, I can actually agree with that. I'm gonna come back to that. Next up, who do we have? Next up, we got Sister Tana. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We hope that Sister Tana is feeling better. We missed her in Philadelphia, Sister Satana. You were missed in Philadelphia. We actually did our show from the green room at World Cafe Live. As a matter of fact, it was a fun show. It's a very fun show. All right, next up, I think we have some comments. Let's comments. Otto says, how's he gonna laugh at the joke and then take offense? It's nervous laughter, Altaf. Some folks laugh when they're hurting. Some folks laugh when they're nervous. The joke in and of itself is a G.I. Jane joke. I get it. First of all, not a lot of people are going to really be able to pull a reference of G.I. Jane because that wasn't a hit movie, number one. Number two, yeah, Chris Rock could have found another thing not to talk about. But he's made other jokes about Jada Pinkett. So this is not the first time. This is a bit of a carryover from like 2016, something like that, when they were trying to do the Oscar So White type of deal. And I'm sure whatever it is that they have with each other, it is. In fact, I was reading that Chris Rock actually appeared on an episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So you get the feeling that they've been around each other. They have 100% been around each other. So I didn't really get this whole thing. But I think it's also a new kind of changing of the guard. Sister Stana saying this afternoon the Academy condemned his actions and launched a formal review. I don't know what that's going to do. I don't know what that's going to do. They already gave him his award. We've all been now privy and exposed to the circus of what this thing is. The thing about this is, at first people thought it was staged, and I'm like, no, Chris Rock legitimately got slapped, and I know because he didn't have a line for it. He didn't have a line for it because he was somewhere in between confused and disrespected And I think in that space where he was legitimately trying to find out what's wrong. Like literally, how do we get to this place? And Will Smith was not the place. In fact, Will Smith was even more adamant, doubling down, yelling from his seat. Hear me now, yelling from his seat. Keep my wife's name out of your blank and blank mouth. He does it 2 times. There's no security. Hear me now. There's no security. The people around Will are not going, hey man, what are you doing? He got to sit there until the break. You understand what I'm saying? Denzel Washington and I guess Tyler Perry and P. Diddy are trying to mediate this situation, but the Academy does not know what to do. And I've always said that the Academy Awards doesn't necessarily know what to do with the Black experience anyway. So we talked a little bit, and I know I'm over, but it's okay. It's okay. In fact, we're gonna roll. Satana, can you show or run the original slap? And I'm gonna explain why this is important. We're gonna go to the original slap. Go ahead with Sidney Poitier.
We were just trying to clarify some of the evidence. Was Mr. Colbert ever in this greenhouse, say last night about midnight?
Gillespie? Yeah. You saw it. I saw it. Well, what are you going to do about it?
Okay, that's the original slap. That's the original slap, and you can tell just by a little bit of a clip what the personification of that slap really means. That there's an urging, there's a growth, there's a need to be, for lack of a better word, expressive about how we're feeling during that time. The slap that we saw on Sunday is weird in and of itself because these guys groom themselves in a certain way, in a certain etiquette to get there in the first place. And it seems really weird or off key, if you will, that somehow you would throw all of that away. You throw away all that goodwill. And there were other ways to address it. There were other ways to address it. You know, we laugh at Kanye West and things like that. And of course, Kanye's been off a while. But in some regards, I have to give him credit because it's like, let me explain myself, express myself, even though it may be outside of normal etiquette or decorum. But it's not this physical violence. It's not an okay. When you're talking about the Oscars, you're talking about the creme de la creme of acting talent, right? The creme de la creme of acting talent. People like Denzel Washington and shout out to Samuel Jackson, who received a governor's award for his lifetime achievement in film, which you didn't see. And also shout out to Denzel Washington for presenting him with the award. You're talking about a clique of gentlemen that work in a specific time who understand the nature of what they do and also where they're doing it, where they are putting up, and I want to say where they're throwing down their flags and understand the scope of it. It was embarrassing. It's, I'll say this, when you see two guys that don't have any money fighting, it's sad. But when you see two guys who have a level of acclaim, this is just right above the rappers. We have rap guys. It seems like every week a young rap person shot dead. And we begin to, we have to say those things, We have a comment from, can we get Rosa Newtown in? Can we get Rosa Newtown in? Satan, okay. Why lick my salon? Why aren't you talking about the most obvious and bigger issue? Disrespect given to black women. Black women face discrimination for having black hairstyles. Why it's okay for black women to butter jugs when it comes to natural hair. Well, I said he could have gone without talking about the hair. Sister Newton. I said that. But the scope of it is, honestly, if you really want to just throw it out there, this is what you don't do. You don't talk about another man's wife. Okay? You don't talk about another man's wife. There is a difference. Even if it's in a joking way, you have to get clarity. You have to have an okay that says, okay, let's be honest. We're talking about this. You're talking about why is it okay? Regina Hall made a joke about Will Smith and Jada Pinkett's marriage during the same telecast. Nobody walked up and punched her. It was a funny joke. It was funnier than Chris Rock's joke. But and I would throw this in here. She was not talking about her hair. She's talking about her marriage, which I think is even more delicate or just as delicate. And guess what? Jada Pinkett smiled and played along with the joke. They all smiled. So, could Chris Rock have done his homework about the hair? Absolutely. And we'll I guess, Satana, let's get into a show about black women's hair. Chris Rock did a documentary called Good Hair some years ago, and it was actually a pretty good documentary. Should have been nominated for something, but I think we should talk about that. But I don't want it to be all this thing about attacking black women. This is he defending black women, or are we looking at a guy who hasn't resolved emotionally what's going on in his life with his wife and his marriage? Can we talk about that? So we're gonna have to. I don't know if we need a part two, Satana. Like I said, I was really, really dismayed about the whole thing. I'm like, why are we doing this? Why are we in a span of time? We lost Cicely Tyson, we lost Sidney Poitier, we lost giants, and we always talk about who's going to take the place. You can't be a giant if you're going on stage slapping people. Will Smith could have been even more effective if he went out and said, "Hey, man," and he said, "Listen, let me talk about my wife's here because a lot of women are out here suffering. A lot of black women are suffering. I didn't agree with Chris Rock." And you could have had a debate, man, but you can't have a debate now because everybody's talking about this ridiculous slap. Think about those things. Okay, let's get to the wind up. We're not even going to do the commercials, Satana. Let me explain to you guys. We're going to be shifting into Ramadan mode. We're doing Preacher Moss's Ramadan 30 for 30. We're going to be going 30 days consecutively. As we've done over the last couple of years, we're going to have our speakers. We're going to have our Ramadan reflections. We're going to ask all of you to tune in. I'm going to be doing some aspects of reflection on Jews. We're going to have speakers and things like that. And I'm actually going to have some of you on the show to just give some of your reflections about Ramadan. Last year was a little bit more mechanical, but this year I feel comfortable in bringing people on the show, kind of talk about what it means to you. Oftentimes when we do this, we fast and things, but one of the things that is missing is that the communication about what we're going through is never really put out in a table or I want to say an accessible format whereby other people can kind of feel like, I'm part of this experience, whether they're Muslim or non-Muslim. My mother goes through Ramadan with me. This is, 30 plus Ramadans. And to be able to talk to her about what I'm going through and things like that, this is just a powerful, powerful reminder of how important this month is. So let me throw that out there. And we are launching, but since the site will be going live this week on Launch Good, we will be talking about NFTs. Let me tell all of you now about NFTs. I'm going to tell all of you who are going to purchase NFTs, get them early and hold on to them. Get them early, hold on to them. The purpose of the NFTs is we're going to attempt, brothers and sisters, to raise money to be able to provide IT training to returning citizens. It is my feeling that a lot of brothers come home from prison, a lot of sisters come home from prisons. They work subpar jobs and they have subpar opportunities to be able to provide for themselves and their families. So the interjection is if we can train them for jobs where they can be competitive for salaries that are $65, $75 an hour, the money is generationally changing. It is monumental, and we're going to provide that service. So if you can't donate, please make dua for us. This is ambitious because nobody really worries about the inmates during Ramadan. We worry about everybody else. We don't worry about those brothers who are out there 100% struggling every day and holding on. This is Muslim and non-Muslim. So Let me get off my soapbox. I'm off the soapbox. Okay, let's get to our sponsors. I want to give a shout out to BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Again, that's BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Call 202-508-5780. We also want to give a shout out to UsHub TV. Again, that's ushub.tv. Check them out. We've shouted them out a number of times. Go over there and check them. They're the number one Muslim streaming service out there. So make sure you check them out. And we also want to give a shout out to Bayan Islamic Graduate College. Again, that's Bayan Islamic Graduate College. Thank you guys for supporting us over the years. And we hope that you have a successful Ramadan as well. And we want to give a shout out to Convenient Urgent Care. Again, that's Convenient Urgent Care. You can go to www.convenienturgent.com. Again, that's convenienturgent.com. Locations in Pasadena, Cypress, and of course Houston on Parker Road. I am out of here, brothers and sisters. Take care. Inshallah, we'll see you tomorrow. Think before you act, and think before you slap. I'm Preacher Moss. Take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shout out.
Hey, babies. Welcome to Radio WCUC, Convenient Urgent Care, home of the smart patient. This is DJ What It Do. You know what time it is. It's the top of the hour, and the request lines are open. You know what you want to hear. I know what you want to hear. Operators are waiting.
I just gotta hear "Don't Get the COVID."
Don't get the COVID. Put your mask back on. The Delta COVID, more contagious than before. Don't get the COVID. Go on and get the vaccine. You know that it can keep you safe, and your people living up in your space. Don't get the COVID. You need to wash your hands. The Delta COVID is more deadly than before. Don't get the COVID. Go on and get your vaccine. You know that it can keep you from dying. Don't leave your family all alone and crying. Don't get the COVID.
We invite you to join our fight against COVID and against misinformation. It's time to listen to the doctors and trust the science.
When I think of people dying that don't have to die, it makes me sad. Now's the time to be sober. Together we can make this thing over. Let's fight the COVID. Convenient urgent care, home of the smart patient.